talk about LeBron James. LeBron scored 40 points and against the Nets, and a vintage performance, scoring 17 points in the fourth quarter. They dropped a lead, all the stuff. That's not the point here. The point is, after he had a vintage performance, he talked about how this is probably going to be the end. He doesn't have many more years like this left. He doesn't know how much longer he has. And he's hinted at it, like he's hinted at it last season before. It feels like after every season that LeBron's been on the Lakers, at least the last 3 or 4, he's basically just talked about how this might be it. We might be done. And we're getting to that point right now. And I just want to know, Raja, thinking about this from the Lakers' point of view, right? Where you have this guy that is scoring 40, who is doing these great things. Doesn't seem at the peak level LeBron, but damn it, he looked great in Brooklyn last night. How do you, as a front office, how do you plan for something like this when the guy, your best player, because don't get it messed up, he is the best player on the team right now. He is the number one option. How does a front office plan for this when a rebuild is on the way, right? Like, what are we doing right now? Because as soon as he said that, I'm like, well, the Lakers aren't going to be the same in 2 years. There's no way.
Right.
Can't do it. How are you planning for this, Raja Bell?
I mean, I don't really know, Logan. I didn't get to part 2 of my front office course. I stopped after part 1. But I would imagine what you're trying to do. First of all, let's just put this out here. I hope everyone's enjoying it. Like, I know our job is to kind of break down and analyze and talk about what's wrong with this team and why. I think we should all just really soak in and appreciate what you're watching in terms of LeBron at the advanced, I hate to say advanced age because I'm way older, but at the advanced mileage that he has on his body in the NBA and what he's still capable of conjuring up from night to night. It's pretty incredible. So instead of, what we do on the pod all the time, talking about the Lakers and whether they can win a championship and all of that, just every now and again, sit back and count your blessings that you get to watch that. Real talk. I know it sounds corny, but this is real. That's unworldly stuff you're watching. As a front office, I would have to imagine that, the inevitability of it. And so you're trying to figure out whether you're going to be able to kind of hit a reset button in a way that doesn't turn you into like a frame off restoration, or
right,
whether or not when LeBron goes, you're going to have to liquidate. So is Anthony Davis the guy? Like, when LeBron leaves, do we have, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but because then I want you to answer the question. When LeBron leaves, do we have the answer in terms of the next star that can carry us into another playoff window as we rebuild this over the, let's say, hypothetically, next 3 years? Does he exist already on our roster?
No. And even with AD, like, even to answer that question, when I even think it through as you're asking it, I don't think that he's not the number one guy. We've seen what he is even at peak Anthony Davis level, what Anthony Davis can be as your number one guy. And that's like the ceiling, I think, is 50 wins, right? We saw that with the Pelicans, maybe 50 to maybe 53, right? But are they winning the championship? Probably not. Like, he's not that type of guy. So what I would do if I am the Lakers at this point, and they don't own their pick this year or next year because of the Anthony Davis trade, I think there's a world where you can do both things at once. I mean, the Lakers have shown you with Kobe Bryant that, they can bring out all the stops and do all these things because I don't care what LeBron is saying. I think it'll be better for him to retire a Laker in the way that, the way that he would want his career to go out. I think that no matter what he says, I think retiring a Laker and having that, there's no farewell tour like a Lakers farewell tour. I think no matter what smoke that he gives out, I think that's what he ultimately wants. So I think if you could just strike that balance of winning enough to satisfy LeBron and maybe just be in the hunt for maybe either this year or the next year after that, I think what you do is you play that out as long as you can, and when that's over, you get on the phone and you say, Anthony Davis is on the trade block.
Yeah,
I think that's exactly what you do. And then you build it up from the studs. You get assets from him. You take the picks that he's inevitably going to get because he is a great player. You've seen that and he's still young. I think he's like 30, 31 or something like that. What you do is you trade him and you get everything that you can and you build out from the studs. Like the same thing that the Cavs have had to do, that the Heat have had to do, but the Lakers are a different beast. But they have to build back up from the studs with those picks. If I were the GM, that's what I would do.
I like that. And then so that I would bring another question to you because I think uniquely LA has this going for them in a way that Cleveland didn't necessarily have. Your brand and where you are logistically, quite frankly, in LA and all of its allure, the purple and gold it's a destination. Like it's an attractive destination. So is there a world in which LeBron comes off the books and there's something else out there that you plug and play with AD at that point and just try to keep the window open?
See, that's tough because I don't know which star is out there that will be able to do that, right? Like, is Luka coming off the board? I don't foresee that in this moment, right? Is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander coming up off the board, right? Like, are you trying to get like a Trae Young or a DeJounte Murray type player?
Yeah,
like
I don't think they do it.
What's that going to do?
Yeah, right? So that's
not the star that they want.
This whole conversation, I guess, has been the answer to your question for me. That's the decision you have to make, right? Like you're going to have to make, is this frame off? Is it when LeBron's expired, we get rid of AD, move off of that and just start from scratch? Or is there something that's going to be coming down the pipe that you see you could plug into that? And I mean, I think it's probably more A than B, but that's the decision you're trying to make. How you manage the end of career. I mean, the Lakers have done it. The Lakers kind of did it with Kobe, right? They did it with Kobe. Although, I'd like to say that towards the end of Kobe's, he probably wasn't as viable. Is that fair? As a championship type of player?
Like, I still think LeBron could still, and same with AD, but I think we're talking about LeBron here. LeBron can still obviously help a championship team.
Right.
Like he can definitely. I mean, LeBron being the third option on a team, which is wild to even consider. But if you put him on, I don't know, say Oklahoma City, who else? Like if Philly could get their shit together, I don't know.
Second option on a team, it's a different conversation.
But LeBron right now is so good to where like the only place he could be a second option, what is it, Dallas or someplace, right? Where like what place could you see him being a second option? And the other player is good enough and has enough of an alpha personality to where he can be an actual number 2 or 3 option where there's an actual picking order. There's only a couple of teams out there, and I don't even I don't know. I don't see that.
This isn't a vacuum, right? This isn't taken into account like skill sets duplicating each other or whether or not they'd be good fits together. But you're talking about you are talking about Joel Embiid's, you're talking about Giannis's, you're talking about Luka Doncic's, you're talking about maybe
Steph Curry,
maybe Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, even though I don't think he's got the you talked about that Kevin alpha, Durant, but the culture.
Well, Kevin Durant, Rod, like I don't think he's entrenched enough with the Phoenix organization to be. I don't even think he's the number 1 alpha on his team right now.
Yeah,
like,
but
I don't even know if that would work.
Listen again, not talking personality all the way. I'm talking about ability in a game. He ain't no question about whether he's an alpha in a game, Kevin Durant, right?
Sure.
That's what we're talking about. LeBron can represent whatever he wants behind closed doors in terms of leadership and stuff like that. But what he needs is the availability of a star next to him that can carry so that he doesn't have to hop into that mode as often as he does for the Lakers to win. So he can really just be, a piece and someone else can do the carrying from night to night on the court.
Yeah. And I think, and even that, like, I think there's only a handful of, if I had to guess of the players that would do that, or that have both the game and the alpha to do that. I think with us, Giannis, Luka,
Jokic.
Yeah, Jokic, obviously.
Joel. There are a few.
There's a few, but like 6 or 7 guys, right?
No. Yeah, for sure.
That's it. And getting LeBron into that way, that's why I just don't think it's possible, because it would take too much and LeBron ain't taking no L's when it comes to the bank account. So then what? You know, like and I think he's kind of seeing that writing on the wall. There's only so much, like, it's funny to just see LeBron in this last stage of his career, because I think there's obviously mortality in a lot of ways, but there's also the mortality in like what he can and can't do as an influence within the front office, which is so fascinating to me right now, right? Where, I mean, he wielded so much power in Cleveland, but he was also like 31, 32, right?
Yeah. Dragging you to the finals every year.
And dragging you to the finals every year. And he was good enough to be able to do that. Like, even LeBron isn't, it's not even Father Time that he's not susceptible to. It's just that, I guess that what I'm trying to say is that comes with Father Time, is all the other things, is that you don't have as much influence on a front office, because the Lakers are like, hey man, in 2 years, you're not going to be here. We are still the Lakers in that way. And we still need to, make sure that we are good and relevant enough after your career. Because it's interesting when LeBron is like, and I've said this a lot, the Lakers are the only team that can beat his match in terms of ego, in terms of stature. Like, the only place that LeBron isn't bigger than the organization. And that's just been an adjustment that we've seen over the last few years.
That's a very interesting conversation for me. LeBron with himself and his very, very small circle of people is the conversation that is it more worth it to retire a Laker and everything that comes along with that? Or would it be more worth it to try to work our way to a place with anyone who we think we've identified as a potential running mate where I can vie for more championships? Because, I mean, he's telling you himself, it's very, very limited amount. There's a very limited amount of time left. So that would be interesting, fascinating for me to get a little insight into that. Like, is it done? Have we already resigned? Is the conversation already done? Is it a fluid conversation? Are we reevaluating after this year's playoffs? Like, what's that look like?
Yeah, and also just like, LeBron. I mean, not LeBron. The NBA stars, when you're at LeBron's level, is such an individualistic thing, right? And like, he's on an air with the greats of all time, the Kareems, the Jordans, the Wilts, just in this different class of individualism when it comes to, the pantheon of what the NBA represents. And right, it's so much so to where when he's chasing these people, these Michael Jordans, even within his successes, there's scrutiny. There's just going to be a level of scrutinization. I don't even know if that's a word, but there's going to be a level of scrutinizing that. Scrutiny. Thank you. See, you went to college. I didn't. I mean, thank you for that, pal. But there's a level of scrutiny there where even if he does go right, like say if he goes somewhere else, there's going to be a level of people that are like, well, hey, that championship mate is valid as the other ones because you was on a running mate running somebody else's coattails, right? And that's just what it is, right? Like, I'm not saying, and I'm saying that as a way of like, because LeBron is sensitive to those things. So I know he's thinking about that. We all know he is because he is on that select few of group of people of all time greats. It's very, very select. There's only like 10 people there.
When you're in that type of group, naturally there's a lot that comes with that. My argument to anybody that would listen to me from LeBron's camp, not that there's any, but his man Randy was my guy. Randy, when I was in Cleveland, was my dude, man. He's a good brother, but I don't think LeBron's already won championships in 3 places. That's already part of the legacy. That's, for me, that's the best part of the legacy is no matter where I went, I did it. People try to use that as a negative. I see it as a positive. Like this isn't like I could only win when I went to play with someone. This is everywhere I've gone, a championship has followed. If you're able to do that for a 4th time, there are going to be some people that if the player that you team with is younger and more able than you, they may have something to say about that. Quite frankly, I don't give a shit. that puts you in another conversation for me. You've won at 4 stops. You've had 4 stops, won at every one of them, except Cleveland the first time. I think I could make an argument for why that would be a pretty cool thing in terms of a legacy.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, man. But it's just fascinating to just see him at this level still. Like, we've never seen a star do it at this level. I mean, I think the closest might be Kareem, maybe, right? Do it for this long at this level. I'm giving Kareem his flowers because I don't feel like he gets enough flowers at this point, just by how great his career was. But it's just so fascinating to see this in real time and just see the mortality in real time, but also being as great as he is in spurts. Because the reality is LeBron is in this category right now that me and you talk about, where we talk about just the not all scoring lines are created equal. And LeBron is now in that category of player, right? Because you see the 40-point nights, but you don't see as much of an impact on a given stretch because he just doesn't have that gear. Every once in a while, he can just find it. And I think that's why like he's great like Jordan was with the Wizards, because every couple of weeks, he could just find it, you know? And he'll give you the reminder of like, oh, this LeBron James. So it's fascinating to see where he's at right now. It's always something to look forward to. He's always a great topic. But I just wanted to see just where is this guy at right now? So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a fascinating discussion.